Hi, I'm Rick with Killer Innovations Velocity Defense. I'm here at Big Tex Ordnance today. I wanted to show you guys our compensator lines for pistols. So we have two different style compensators that we offer. We have our standard compensator. This one is really geared to like competition shooting. It is very, very effective, and I'll get into more of the details in a second. And then we have our ProTuck comp, which is kind of meant to go into a full-size frame with like a carry size slide. So it has that tucked look like we have here with this Flux Raider. These two comps are very different, but they work in some similar ways, but they definitely have some differences. So I think the coolest thing that we have going with our comp is that they're toolless. So there's a little button here on the side, and if you push that button in, it unlocks this locking ring right here. And it allows you to rotate the locking ring. By doing this, it's a toolless removal, and it's off. You know, most of your compensators on the market right now, you thread it on until it times with the slide. And then you set screws against the barrel. But there's a problem with that. It throws off your concentricity and your collinear alignment because you didn't shoulder. With our comp, the way that that locking ring traps it back, it comes all the way back to the thread shoulder every time. So you get absolutely perfect concentricity and collinear alignment. So your bullet is flying down the middle of the comp. So if your bullet's not flying down the middle of the comp, what happens is you end up with a bigger air gap, either at the top, the bottom, or the side. And what that does is it creates a point of impact shift because the air wants to follow the path of least resistance around that bullet. So if you're shooting with your comp and you take it off, you're gonna get a different point of impact, which is no good. With this one, it doesn't matter whether your comp is on or off, you're always gonna get the same point of impact, and it's toolless. It's just easy to take the thing on and off because you don't always want this on your gun. So like I said before, we have two different styles. This is our standard and the ProTuck comp. The biggest difference between the two is the ProTuck comp is actually tunable. So you can tune this comp to whatever ammo you're running. One of the biggest problems with compensators is they rob your slide of energy. You can have a lot of misfeeds, short strokes, stovepipes, things like that, depending on what ammo you're running and if the comp and the spring are tuned correctly to your pistol. So what this does is it gives you another level of tunability. And so on the end of the comp, you can see it's got this separate piece. It comes with this little wrench. You put it in here, and now I can dial the comp back towards that locking ring and reduce the air gap. And what that essentially does is it throttles back the amount of compensation you get. So now if you're running lower power factor ammo, you can tune this to that ammo and it'll still cycle. Our standard comp does not do that. This is more of a competition style compensator. This one really loves like plus P ammo, higher power factor ammo. You can run like 115 grain ball through it, but you need to run a hotter ammo like a Herder's or Igman or some of those other, American Eagle, some of those hotter ammos. Doesn't mean that the other ones aren't good. They're just, these ammo manufacturers put a little bit more powder in the cartridge, which just helps this comp perform better. If you want your comp to eat everything, you definitely kind of want to look at the ProTuck comp. This one, because of its adjustability, it's just going to be a lot more forgiving and you're going to have a better shooting experience. So each compensator comes with two different locking rings. The two locking rings are different thicknesses. There's a narrow one and a thick one. For each comp, what it'll do is it gives you some adjustability. Even on our standard comp, if you put the thicker locking ring in, it reduces the compensation down to about 50%, which will help it eat some of that lower power factor ammo. On the ProTuck comp, you can put the rings in, but then you also have the ability to adjust the compensator all the way down to 0. You can shut it off if you want, or you can open it all the way up to 100%. So this one is adjustable from 0 to 100%. Our standard comp is 50 to 100%. So this is our ProTuck comp installed on a CZP10C. This is our slide, our barrel, our comp. You can see kind of how flush the comp mates up to the slide. It matches the lines perfect. And because it comes all the way back to the thread shoulder, we can control that gap from the nose of the slide to the back of the comp. And we're holding a very tight tolerance, which nobody else can really do because you don't know how the threads are gonna time. So everybody else that you're threading the comp on until it times, you just don't know what gap you're gonna get when the compensator times with the slide. Because of the thread shoulder, we're able to control that gap, so it gives it a much cleaner look. So I mentioned before, our slides are toolless, so you can take it on and off without tools, but it does require you to use our barrel. And the reason why is we put these notches at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock on the sides of the barrel. And what that does is on the inside of the comp, it has these little dog point set screws that just track into those slots. They're not locking against the barrel, but what they do is they set the rotational indexing. They stop it from twisting on the end of the barrel. And that way when you install the locking ring, it just traps it back to the thread shoulder. This thing is firmly in place. It's not gonna rotate. It's not gonna try to come off the end. So our standard comp is available for Glock 19 and 17, all gens, and it's available for the SIG 320. The ProTuck comp is only available for the SIG 320. If you have any questions about the comp, please reach out to us on Instagram or Facebook. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you again for watching. See you next time.